Greetings, YouTube, and a merry Samhain to you all. I am Ynnep, and this is 3 scary stories from my own life. 2 could be considered paranormal, 1 is not. All are true with minimal exaggeration. So, sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy the show. Story 1. When I was about 14, a friend and I went to the mall and saw an antiquity shop. As a child, I, along with the rest of my family, had a fear and a fascination with the paranormal. Some of us would hear things, others would see things. I was no exception, but I was always a skeptic. As a show of good humor, I asked the store clerk if they had any haunted statues. This earned me a strange look, but a sly smile from the store clerk. Led to the back, there was a type of tiki. I greeted it while my friend discouraged me. "Kuwabara! Kuwabara!" I say enthusiastically in a stupid attempt to exercise anything in there. When we left the mall, a brick fell from the roof and almost hit me. For the next year, bricks, rocks, and even small bits of concrete would fly out of me from seemingly nowhere when I was out in the open. Only a few times did it manage to hit me. All the same, I was terrified. I have no explanation for this other than a strange mix of apophenia and bad luck. Story 2. When I was around 16, my mother, stepfather, and I were driving up to Houston to visit family. I was drawing in the back as per usual. I always enjoyed sitting in the back and just zoning out, watching the scenery go by as I drew. A woman beside us in a, I want to say blue SUV suddenly stops, and an 18-wheeler smashes into the back of her. My stepfather swerved to get us out of the path of that truck. We made it out of there in time, but the driver was not so lucky. Thinking back, all I can remember is, she had passengers in the back seat. We don't know what happened next, but I think every day. That could have been me, it could have been my mother, it could have been someone I loved. On another trip up there, on almost the exact same road, a man on a motorcycle drove on the center line and straight into a rainstorm. He flew in a different direction from his bike. We all had to pull over on that long road. We were stuck there for a while, unsure of the man's fate. As we slowly made our departure, there was no ambulance yet, but there were several police officers standing over the man. I don't know the fate of the man, the woman, or her passengers, but from the bottom of my heart, I hope that they all made it. Story 3. The time I was trapped in a room with no door. One late night, I was in my computer room, working on an art commission. There was no door in this room, so I could see clearly to the kitchen. Suddenly, I hear a strange noise. My dog was in my mom's room, and I didn't have a cat yet. In my swivel chair, I slide over to see what the commotion was, only to freeze in place. A fork goes flying from one end of my sink to the other. In my swivel chair, I retreat back to the computer room, a mind-numbing pain seeping in as more noises erupt from my kitchen. I have no idea if there is an animal or, dare I say, a ghost in my kitchen, or if my brain is playing tricks on me in my terrified state. My first impulse is to scream for my mother in the next room. Her door was closed, so I prepared to shout. But nothing. I did the motions, I sucked in air, but nothing came out. My throat had locked up and I couldn't even squeak, surely a result of anxiety. My next thought was to call or text her on my phone. I always keep my phone charged for fear of just this thing. The phone was dead. When I go to press a button to call my mother, the phone just powers down, even though I had fully charged it. More panic has set in as I realize I am physically incapable of leaving this room. Were there still sounds coming from the kitchen? Lord, if I know. By then, anxiety had long since warped my perception of reality. After an unknown amount of time, I found the strength to knock on the wall beside me as loudly as I could. Eventually, my voice returned enough to cry out for my mother. She emerged from her room to see me in tears. She asked if I was all right, and all I could manage to say was, "Something in the kitchen scared me." At a glance, there was nothing there, so my tired mother simply gave me a hug before returning to bed. I went back to work as nothing had happened. What could have caused all that racket that sent me into a blind terror? I never figured that out and most likely never will. These have been 3 scary stories from my life. Paranormal or easily explained when fear is put aside. I leave that for all of you to decide. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. And have a safe and merry Samhain.